If you need burn heals, you came to the right place. It is time for episode 2 of PokeCentre with coverage of week 2 of the Commander Draft Tournament, the 7th season of the NCPL. My name is Douglas Evans, and I'm joined by my co-host, Calvin Rowett. Calvin, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, and I am so excited to get into the second episode of PokeCentre.
Me too. I cannot wait. We got so much to get into today. We had so many great games, some crazy hacks, some huge upsets, all the fun stuff. We got trades to talk about, everything. We're going to lay it all out for everyone over the course of the next 30 to 40 minutes. But first of all, I just want to take a moment here to thank everyone for their incredibly positive feedback for episode 1. It's been truly humbling, and I'm super appreciative to all the nice things that people had to say. And it was just a crazy idea that I had that I pitched to Calvin, and it's so cool to see it come together and just to see the response that it got. I'm super pumped, and I just can't wait to keep getting these episodes going.
Yeah, and honestly, keep the feedback coming. We really love reading all your comments, so continue to let us know what you think of the show. Let us know if we did something funny that you like, or if there's something that could have been included next time, because we are always going to be listening.
Awesome. Well said, and that's just it. We're always going to be listening. As we trek on, though, let's get into some trades for this week. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's go.
All right, so we actually had 4 trades this week, so it was a little busier than last week with only 1 trade. I'll kind of start him off here. Let's start off with Jared. Jared did a trade. He traded his Tier 5 Pyroar for a Savali Grass. What do you think of that trade, Calvin?
Okay, this is a pretty good trade. This trade gets a thumbs up for me. I think he had a pretty bad ground weakness that is now being patched up with the Savali Grass. The Pyroar didn't have much to offer since he already has a good normal type. The Grass type is going to be much better because he's going to get pivoting, defog, and that base 95 speed is just great. So it gets a thumbs up from me.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a good move on Jared's part, and you can even see on Ross's draft analysis that he posted for Jared. Jared himself commented even before the trade was opened up for this week, saying that he knew he was going to get rid of the Pyroar. He already had that trade in his mind, and good to see that he pulled the trigger on that this week. Moving on here, we have Simon. Simon traded a Tier 4 Deontay for a Gigalith. What do you make of that one?
Well, this is an interesting one. I think it's good overall for his team synergy and helping make Stoutland a little bit more of a threat, since it will now have a Sand Setter, allowing him to utilize Sand Rush, but is now contributing to his fighting weakness. Does this get a thumbs up or a thumbs down? I'm going to go this as a neutral trade for me. I think he still needs to consider a trade to circumvent his fighting and his ground weaknesses.
Awesome. Moving on here to Reggie. Reggie traded his Tier 5 Raichu for a Chimecho. What do you think of that?
This is a really cool trade. Chimecho is an interesting Pokemon with a lot of cool tricks up its sleeve. Raichu is overly just kind of niche, wasn't really necessarily needed for its speed tier, considering Mega Sceptile and Talonflame are both faster. Chimecho has more to offer. I give it a thumbs up.
Awesome. And our final trade for week 2 here, we have Brian. He traded a Tier 5 Levani for a Victory Bell. What are your thoughts?
This is an astounding thumbs up. He has the Sun Core going. He just didn't really have the sweeper. Mega Houndoom's good as a wall breaker, but it doesn't get the extra speed under Sun. Victory Bell does, and Victory Bell has a lot of cool tech options as far as an offensive threat goes. Absolutely thumbs up trade.
Awesome. That's great. I think it's safe to say that anytime someone's going to make a trade during Monday in any week of the group, it's always going to be a positive. But it's just a matter of what these players do with these trades and how they make them into positives. So it'll be interesting to see how things shape up for the next week and the weeks to come as we get further along in the Commander Draft Tournament. With that being said, I think it's time we get into some highlights. What do you think?
Yeah, let's jump right into it.
All right, let's do it. Kicking things off in the Shield Division, it's going to be Jared against Norman. And right off the hop here, this Noctowl is going to come out, use Magic Coat, and bounce out those sticky webs.
What a crazy set. This match is full of crazy and very creative sets, like this Trevenant set here. Substitute Harvest with the Citrus Berry, and it's also going to have Leech Seed. I think this is a great set, if I'm being perfectly honest. This is a great way to ensure that you're really whittling down Jared's team, which would be great for a sweeper in the back. However, this Curse cuts down Trevenant's HP too much, making sure that it can't really do its job all that well. So I think that was a bit of a flawed set. Now, Norman would also try to pull off this Articuno set, which I think had great potential if it was pulled off properly. But as we'll see here, not having the Muck weakened down enough ensures that it can't get its set off the ground. Weakness policy is very great. Obviously, you're going to get it off with the Psychic type. But as you can see, that full health Muck is able to easily take care of it before it becomes a problem. Honestly, Norman just didn't come too prepared, and Jared shows that this Noctowl is not to be slept on.
And that's what got him the 5-0 victory. Up next, Laurel against Simon.
Okay, so there's a lot Simon can take away from this match as a beginning player. I think he should take a good look at his team and understand that what he's currently running is a flawed strategy. Now, what I mean by this is the screens and Trick Room is not working out. Without any wall breakers or sweepers to take advantage of those type of playstyles, you're not going to get anywhere, as is shown in this match. Laurel's going to eventually pick up on this lack of offensive power and more passive walls, and she's actually going to bring out the Quillfish on the Bronzong that does not have a psychic move and get up all her hazards, including the T-Spikes, which is going to be integral in wearing down things such as the Palossand, which is going to snowball into allowing Hitmonlee to just destroy this team. Which I will say, this team is incredibly fighting weak, with the only real stop to the fighting type being Palossand. Now there's this one unfortunate turn here where the Gunk Shot does miss the Comfey, hurts Simon's differential a little bit at the end of the game here, but Laurel basically has this wrapped up. The Abomus Snow is another mistake. He's running Ice Beam instead of Blizzard, and he doesn't Mega Evolve right away. Gotta remember, you get a boost in both your defenses and special attack when you Mega Evolve. So a lot to learn from this match for Simon, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and Hitmonlee comes in, finishes off. Another big win for Laurel in Week 2. Next up, we have Brian against Robin. And as is the theme here in Week 2 of the Shield Division, a lot of wacky and strange sets. Tell me what's going on here, Calvin.
Hold your horses, Douglas. First, I gotta comment on this little situation here. Meloetta under the screens. This is how you do offense. Take note, Simon. Ladies and gentlemen, this Pokemon with a Life Orb is a monstrous threat. 126 special attack, great coverage. I think Meloetta is one of the best Tier 4 picks that were chosen, and it was picked on both divisions. Paul has the other one. Great Mon, and it was used well early game. Now, to what Douglas was saying earlier about these wacky sets. Wow! Resto Chesto for Alligator. What am I seeing? And now, it's Toxic Stalling. Robin, what are you smoking, buddy? Well, whatever you're smoking, maybe I should have some too, because it is working out very well. He's just getting a lot of momentum, and he's able to really, throw Brian through the ringer here with some just very well timed out Toxic Stalls. But Brian is not out for the count quite yet. As we'll see here, his Dusknoir set is absolutely ingenious. Calm Mind. That's the first for me. Typically you see physical, but no, we're seeing Calm Mind. So he is actually going to take back some momentum. I'm very impressed by this set. Takes out the Palossand. Good, let's get some momentum. But then he switches out. What were you thinking, Brian? You were just about to make progress. Ah, darn. As was last week, it looks like Yanmega's going to get a little lucky here with a nice air slash flinch. And it's going to be sweeping up the rest of the team here, giving Robin another big win.
Up next, it's Chris against Reggie.
What a hell of a match this was. Turn 2, a double switch into the Runerigus on Chris's side to ensure the Stealth Rocks against the Talonflame. Great level of skill in this match immediately. It wouldn't take long for Reggie to start to gain some really good momentum, though. He would get the Hitmonchan in and begin bulking up. This thing was a freaking menace. Let me tell you what. With just the overall bulk that Pokemon has, it is just able to tear through this team. Now, the pivotal point was this turn right here. Look at that. I don't think I've ever seen a Hitmonchan outspeed a Miltank. That must be max HP, max defense or something, and like max speed Hitmonchan, because that was insane seeing him being able to outspeed and get that Drain Punch off. Now it looks like it's all over. This thing is continuously setting up, but boom, that Explosion Mug comes clutch in ending Hitmonchan's terror. Very smart prep on Chris's part. Now, Reggie's not done with the setup. He's got Iron Defense on Steelix. Reggie is just going all out with the setup. He's got the Body Press. Doesn't look like he's got much switch-in, so he goes in Combustion, but he's got a Focus Sash. And as Reggie's about to find out, this is a special attacking Combustion. So where there's a Flamethrower, there's going to be a Hidden Power Grass for this Quagsire to secure the 2-hit KO.
Wow, this match is just awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, like, it's the level of skill was just tremendous. Especially here. You know, Reggie is able to get the Talonflame in with a Wish. Chris wasn't able to keep the health on Miltank, you know, above the 2-hit KO from the Talonflame. And here, he's finally able to kill it with 2 well-timed Flare Blitzes. This is a desperation move on Chris's part with the Reggie Drago. He goes for the substitute, but as we all know, Reggie Drago's move pool is very restrictive. Even if he was rocking like Body Slam or something, this physically defensive Aromatize is going to take nothing from it. Even with the Berry. Super smart prep. It just doesn't mean enough because this Aromatize was able to live and was able to just break through at the end. Crazy match. Very impressed by both players by how well they played. It was a long game, over 60 turns. Reggie wins with a +3. Hey, what can I say? We called it.
Up next, Connor Peterson against Jonas.
This is a tough match to watch because I just feel bad for Connor. He has some good ideas, like with this Centiskorch chair, with the coil lead. Really good, but unfortunately no Power Whip for that Lantern. I thought he was going to start this one off strong, but unfortunately he just starts off in another bad place. And it wouldn't take long for Jonas to take advantage of that with his Cobalion under Aurora Veil. It would get a Sword Stance up and begin sweeping his team. This is the second week in a row that Connor's been very underprepared for opponents sweeping him very similarly. My advice would be to have some measures in place, such as Choice Scarfers or whatnot. Otherwise, this is just going to keep happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just another dominant win for Jonas this week. As you can see, 5-0 differential in this one here. Another one for Jonas. Somebody take this guy out. Last in Shield, it's Ross against Zeb.
This is quite the upset match. We haven't really had too many of those this season. And this is the first one for sure. And it's mostly because of this damn Probopass. This thing is the bane to Ross's game plan. And it may not look like it, but with Toxic, with Stealth Rocks, and with a nice slow Volt Switch, this thing is able to disrupt Ross's defensive core. And that's ultimately what loses him this match here. Just by getting off those slow Volt Switches and pressuring Rotom, it's able to do so well. Now, it is revealed that the Fortress has Heal Belt and Wish, so if Ross had maybe prioritized Defog with the Rotom and, you know, passed some good wishes off to it, he could have maintained his defensive core, but he makes some strange switches, as we'll see later on in this game. But right now, he's got a different problem on his hands. Zeb has got the Cosmic Power Sigilif going on. Now, Ross starts off with the Ampharos going for Thunderbolts, which I think was the better play here. Because with Thunderbolts, you could have gotten a Paralysis, which would have lowered the speed. Say he does kill the Ampharos, then you could have had things that could come in afterwards and try to break through. Instead, he opts to go for the Shadow Ball Mismagius, which is also respectable because you have the chance to get the special defense drop. And it does seem to work. Zeb does get frightened out, even though Ross throws down a GG. The game is definitely not over yet. But it's definitely getting there, especially, like I said, this is where Ross really loses a handle on things. Instead of going for defogs, he's going for Volt Switches. He's trying to keep offensive momentum on his side, but that's not what he needed to do. He needed to defog so that Florges could come in safely and get wishes off. Unfortunately, because he's Volt Switching, because he's U-turning, he's just chipping everything down, and it's detrimental. Look at this. Aqua Jet from Golisopod is now, it's defeating everything because he let everything get so low, and it didn't have to be that way. As you see here, Golisopod gets even more kills. Crazy match. Definitely was not what I was expecting.
Yeah, a big win for Zeb. Put down your shields and pick up your swords. Kicking us off is going to be Flo against Connor West. Now, Connor not looking as impressive as he did in week 1. A little off this week, and it shows. Early on here, he's going to sack the Golisopod to the Rotom.
Yeah, definitely was something wrong this week. In his post comments after the game, he said that he was a little busy with work and couldn't dedicate as much time to the game. And like Douglas pointed out, it shows. Mid-game here, Silvally Fairy, Swords dances up, and with this rest set, it's just going to tear through Connor's ill-prepped team. Not much he could have done here, I think. He's able to pressure a little bit, but it's all in vain. This thing is just going to tear through. Multi-attack this generation is just completely underrated, in my opinion. Silvallies are just great Tier 5 Pokemon. And Silvally Fairy especially is just such a good pick for Tier 5. Flo really showing what it can do. Very impressed with it. Now Connor is going to end the game off here with Darmanitan. Just hoping to get one kill. Just hoping to at least have a 5-0 loss. But, Flo is an expert player. He's playing smart. He wants to preserve the 6-0. He's going to strategically switch here, and he's going to get just that. He's going to get his 6-0.
Yep, just like you said, preserve it he does, and he picks up a big win this week. Next up is my boy Blade against Vikram. And of course, Blade's going to start with Gallade. Obvious start for Blade here in this match. And of course, whoa, a Swords Dance in the Sword Division nonetheless. Incredible. And did I just see a Quick Claw there? My god, even sweeter. If anybody loves a good Quick Claw, it's me. I can appreciate a cutting edge resource in Pokemon. One of the greatest items of all time. Psycho Cut, they're just cutting all over the place here. It's absolutely nuts. I can't keep up with it. I'm too excited, Calvin. Take over.
Wow, those sword puns are really cutting deep. So moving on, we've got this eject pack Gigalith into this one pissed off doggo.
Oh, that is a pissed off doggo, and its bark is probably just as bad as its bite.
Yeah, and not much is going to take a crunch, that's for sure. Oof. Blade's not really prepared to take on this Stoutland here. Vikram's got one hell of a sand team going on. But there is going to be this one point where Golurk is able to kill the Charizard with a Stone Edge. Quite surprising, if I'm being perfectly honest. But in all reality, Talion was a great bring. Just a little, too late to actually impact anything. This was used a little earlier. I think the water stab with the ice coverage could have been pretty amazing in this match. But at this point, well, it was practically over.
Yep, and Vikram gets his first win of the season. Up next, we got William against Sean.
Similar to last week, William is going to brace for the weather. This time it's versus Sean's Sun team. And he's going to do so by staying in against a water type and earth power with Mega Camerupt. A bold strategy that actually pays off quite well because he gets critical damage off. Sean wises up and just goes for the kill with Aqua Tail. Honestly, a fair trade if I do say so myself. Williams able to catch the Quagsire off guard with a Grass Knot on Metagross. Very smart prep. Now at this point in the match, the Regirock's Stone Edges are actually quite free now that the Quagsire is not around. However, William's going to have a small lapse in judgment here, maybe predicting a Venusaur switch in, and goes for Thunder Wave. Honestly, there's no reason not to Stone Edge. He should have just gone for it. Now on Sean's end, he's got a hard lesson to learn from these last two games. Expect Assault Vest on everything, because it's going to be brought to your Venusaur. It's too much of a threat not to, just like what Metagross did there.
And with Quagsire out of the way earlier in the match, Williams Regirock, aptly named Rocky Bubble, can come in, clean up, finish the job, call Adrian. William did it, full send. Up next we have Joshua against Matthew. I will let everyone know that there was a issue with Showdown during this match, so a significant portion of it did have to be replayed. Go ahead, Calvin.
Another great matchup for Choice Specs per Marina. No switch-ins to Moonblast. Great matchup for Matt, not so much Josh. He really struggled to gain a foothold here. He was too passive with the Savali U-turn and Parting Shot, and he never committed with that Miss Magus Nasty Plot the first time. The second time, it just got punished with a knockoff. At the end of the day, it was just a great 6-0 win for Matthew, and that left Joshua picking up the pieces afterwards. He's really got to put a little bit more effort into it next time, I think.
Next up, we have Calvin against Hayden.
What a hacks-filled disaster of a match this was. Right off the bat here, Aromatize should be able to wall the Moltres, but first turn burn means that I cannot wish and heal without getting 2-hit KO'd. That is actually a huge setback that really changed the way this game is played. However, this here was a pretty bad misplay on my part, where I should have just gone for the Power Whip on the Machoke, which would have been really great chip, and I would have never missed because of the no guard. I, in fact, made a mistake and decided to Synthesis, thinking I could take the Future Sight and the Dynamic Punch. A poor play. However, right here, I do get the Heal Bell off, which means that the Tauros is no longer Thunder Waved, which is critical for later. However, this Machoke is an absolute beast. Hayden did really great bringing this thing to this match. It's able to take so many hits and just destroy my team. It's able to fire off all these dynamic punches, get great chip on everything, and confuse everything. Very smart bring on Hayden's part, for sure. Now, this next turn is a Hacks Award of the Week. Scald Burn, crit, into hit itself into confusion. Fucking bullshit. Anyways, after that, I get a little bit of a good sweep here with the Tauros. Its coverage is great. Its 110 speed tier is awesome. It is just going to literally take out half of Hayden's team here. It gets to the point where Hayden has to go for the coin flip. Is his base 110 Archeops going to win, or is Tauros? Well, Hayden gets lucky again, able to take out the Tauros. However, the Rotom's able to come in for the clutch Choice Scarf sweep, but I don't have enough chip on Glalie. What's this? Double Edge Recoil gives me the win. How the hell did I win this one?
In our final match of the week, it's Lewis against Paul.
I'm a big fan of Mega Banette. What a great Pokemon. Starts off this match with Prankster double status, neutralizing the Zangoose with a burn, and preventing a successful Shell Smash sweep with a Thunder Wave on the Blastoise. Really cool tech to have on a Pokemon like that. Now moving on to this, we have Lurantis vs. Shuckle. Now after a bunch of turns of lots of boosting, Infestation, and Toxic, well, both Pokemon go down. Not sure who came out wiser in that exchange. Next up, we're going to have Zangoose. Now, we thought it was down for the count with a burn. It was received earlier, but it is still able to use Facade quite effectively. And actually, it's able to take out the Muck, which is really integral to Paul's plan, I think. Had the Muck stuck around, it could have helped check the Pissimian and been a good tank to bring in against the Deontay. Speaking of Deontay, here we are. It is tanking hits like nothing. 9% from Grass Knot, eating it up. What's this? Super effective hidden power, bounces off. This thing is a threat, and I love it. Tier 4 Pokemon like this are just really great. Iron Head, that is 4 times effective, and it did 26%. Luckily, he gets the flinch there, so he's not able to go for the Moonblast. Goes for another Iron Head. What? No Moonblast? That is a very odd choice. Not sure what Lewis was thinking there in team prep, but I guess it didn't matter too much because he's able to go for the close combat and secure the +2 victory.
Alrighty, it is that time to get into the standings after week 2 of this tournament. As you can see here, the Sword Division, it opened up a little bit this week. There was a bit more definitive wins, so there wasn't quite the clog that there was that we saw in week 1. Week 1 had a lot of close matches with a lot of close differentials. This one here, we had some dominant wins, so like as you can see, we got a lot more spread in that division. On the Shield side of things, it's a lot more of the same. Dominant wins, dominant players, the gap is still continuing to grow between those differentials. What do you make of these standings after week 2, Calvin?
I agree with everything you said there. Sword Division is definitely having a lot more closer games. However, there was 2 outliers. Matthew and Flo both secured 6-0 victories, and the standings reflect that. They're both first and second place. I'm also there in third. We are the only 3 people who are undefeated, 2-0. On the Shield side, though, the top 5 players are actually undefeated. The gap is huge. However, like you said, there was a lot more closer games this time around on Shield, and actually there was a huge upset win, I would say. Ross and Zeb, we were not expecting that. Great win for Zeb. I think things are getting a little bit more interesting for both divisions, and I'm extremely excited to see what next week has to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think speaking of next week, let's look ahead a little bit. I think when I look at these standings here, a big match we see on week 3 is Laurel against Jared. As we see, Laurel is in second place and Jared is in third place. That is a big match on the Shield Division side of things. That just means that there's got to be a change in in these top 5 positions here once those 2 square off. Someone's got to give here. It'll be interesting to see what happens in that match. That's huge for Shield.
Agreed. Laurel and Jared's going to be a really great match. They both have really interesting teams. They both veer on the side of bulky offense, so it's really cool, interesting matchup. It's also great to see 2 veterans of the NCPL facing off. They've both been around here since Season 1, and having this classic matchup is going to be really interesting to see play out here in Season 7.
Awesome, and I know a match that you're looking forward to on the Sword side is Vikram against Florian. Why are you so interested in that match next week?
Well, I'm interested in it because it's just a fun weather matchup. We got Vic's Sand Team and Flo's Hail. Now, traditionally, you put your money on the Sand, but who knows? Hail's got a lot of cool tech this time around. Arctozolt is a huge threat. If it gets Hail up, who knows what can happen? They're both very skilled players. I'm just excited to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, me too. And sticking with the Sword Division as well, I think Matthew versus Hayden is another big match to look out for. Again, we have Matthew in the first place in the Sword Division. He's got an 8 differential. Hayden is in 4th place with a 3 differential. It's like Hayden can make up a lot of groundwork if he pulls off a big win against Matthew.
Yeah, even though Hayden had a loss this week, he's really narrowly lost. -1 differential loss is nothing bad to take from a match. So if he's able to knock down the number 1 guy in his division, that's going to be huge as far as his standings, as far as where Matthew Heater's going to be standing. And honestly, it's just going to be an ego boost if you can take down the number 1 guy in the division.
That's awesome. A lot of things to look forward to in week 3 of the Commander Draft Tournament. As always, as you know, we will be here next week with all the coverage of all the matches, all the trades. If it happens in the Commander Draft Tournament, we are going to talk about it. We are going to cover it. I want to thank everyone so much for tuning into this episode. Be sure to stick around for the Game of the Week. Game of the Week this week is Reggie versus Chris from the Shield Division. An awesome match that everyone knew was going to be great, and of course it turned out to be just that great. So stick around and watch that match. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Your Pokemon have been rested up, and we hope to see you soon.